Hello and a very warm welcome to Mr. English Classroom. My name is Eden.
And I'm Avery. We are so happy you are here with us today.
This podcast is a quiet, comfortable place for you to learn English. It's a space to relax, listen, and grow. So find a comfortable chair, maybe get a cup of tea, and just breathe.
That's right. And we want to say thank you for listening. It means so much to us that you choose to spend your time here. If you enjoy our podcast, please think about subscribing. It helps other learners find our classroom.
Yes, thank you. And before we start, we want to tell you something important. Learning English is a journey. Some days are easy and some days are difficult.
That's true for any journey.
Exactly. So please be kind to yourself. Every time you listen, every time you try to speak, you are making progress. You are doing a great job.
I remember when I was learning to play the guitar, my fingers hurt and the sounds were terrible at first.
Oh, I can imagine.
But I was patient, and slowly, day by day, music started to happen. Learning English is just like that. A little patience, a little practice, and beautiful things will happen.
That's a lovely way to think about it, Avery. So today, our topic is inspired by that feeling of patience. We are going to talk about calmness.
Calmness. It's a simple word, but it's so powerful. We believe that in life and in learning, calm always wins.
It really does. Think about it. When you feel stressed or angry, is it easy to think clearly? Is it easy to find the right English word?
Definitely not. When I'm stressed, my mind feels like a very busy train station. Too many thoughts, too much noise. I can't find anything.
That's a perfect description. So for our listeners, we have a question. When was the last time you felt truly calm? What did it feel like in your body? You don't need to answer now. Just hold the question in your mind as you listen.
And another question. Do you think calm people are weak or are they strong? It's an interesting thing to consider.
It is. Some people think being loud and aggressive is strength, but we think true strength is quiet.
Like a secret superpower. My superpower is being very, very quiet. And also, I can eat a whole pizza by myself. That is another superpower.
Okay, well, we will focus on the calm superpower today. So for the next few minutes, you don't need to do anything. Just listen. Let our conversation be a calm place for your mind.
So, Eden, let's explore this idea. What is calmness really?
That's a great question. For me, it's about being like a deep lake. On the surface, the wind can blow, the rain can fall, there might be waves, but deep down, the water is still. It is peaceful.
I love that metaphor, the lake. So life's problems are the wind and rain. They happen. We can't stop them.
Exactly. But our inner state, our deep self, doesn't have to be disturbed. We can stay composed. Composed is a wonderful word. It means you are calm and in control of your feelings, even in a difficult situation.
Composed, right. So, for example, you're in a meeting at work and there's a lot of pressure. Everyone is talking fast, maybe arguing.
Yes, that's a stressful situation.
If you react to the pressure, you might say something you don't mean. You might get angry. But if you can stay composed, you can listen, think, and then speak clearly. You respond instead of react.
That's a key difference, isn't it? To respond versus to react. A reaction is fast, automatic, like touching something hot and pulling your hand away. It's instinct. But a response is thoughtful. It has a little space inside it, a pause. In that pause, we find our calmness. We choose how to act.
I think of it like a tree in a storm. A big old tree. The wind blows hard, the branches move and shake, but the trunk, the main part of the tree, is strong and still. It is grounded. Its roots are deep in the earth.
That's beautiful, Avery. Being grounded is another great word for this feeling. It means you are stable, sensible, and you understand what is truly important. The tree knows its job is to stand tall. It doesn't get distracted by the storm.
And after the storm passes, the tree is still there. Calmness helps us handle difficult situations. It gives us the strength to wait for the storm to pass without breaking.
I think some people misunderstand calmness. They think being calm means having no feelings. They think it's about suppressing your emotions, pushing them down so nobody can see them.
Right, like a robot. No anger, no sadness, no joy, just nothing.
But that's not what we're talking about. True calmness is not the absence of feelings. It's the ability to feel your feelings without letting them control you. You can feel angry, but you don't have to shout. You can feel nervous, but you don't have to run away.
That's a very important distinction. It's about having a healthy relationship with your emotions. You see them, you acknowledge them, but you are still the one driving the car.
The emotions are just passengers. This connects so much to learning English. Many learners feel overwhelmed. That's a powerful feeling.
Oh, absolutely. I remember feeling overwhelmed. There's so many words, so many grammar rules, and when you try to speak, you feel pressure to be perfect.
Yes, that fear of making a mistake, it can make your mind freeze. But if you can bring a little calmness to that moment, if you can breathe and tell yourself, it's okay to make mistakes, it's part of learning, everything changes.
It really does. You stop reacting to the fear and you start responding to the situation. The situation is you want to communicate, so you try. Maybe the sentence isn't perfect, but you communicate. That is a victory.
A huge victory. Calmness gives you perspective. Perspective is your way of seeing things. When you are stressed, your perspective is very small. All you can see is the problem, the mistake.
That's true. It's like looking at a map, but your nose is touching the paper. You can only see one tiny street.
Yes, exactly. But when you are calm, you can step back. You can hold the map farther away. Now you see the whole city. You see where you are, and you see where you want to go. The small street is still there, but it's not the whole picture. That is perspective.
So, this all sounds very nice, but how can people find this calmness, especially when life is busy and stressful? What are some simple, practical things we can do?
I think the most powerful tool is also the simplest, our breath. When you feel that stress rising, that feeling of being overwhelmed, just pause.
Just for a moment.
Yes, and take one deep breath. Breathe in slowly through your nose and breathe out slowly through your mouth. That's it. One breath. It sends a signal to your brain that says, you are safe, you can relax.
It creates that small space we talked about, the space between the situation and your reaction. In that space, you can find your calm.
Another simple idea is to think before you react. This is especially helpful in conversations. Someone says something that makes you feel angry or defensive. The impulse is to answer immediately.
Right, to fight back.
Yes, but what if you just paused for 3 seconds? 1, 2, 3. In those seconds, you can ask yourself, what is the most helpful way to respond right now? Maybe the answer is a calm question. Maybe the answer is silence. The pause gives you a choice.
That's such a useful skill in any language. So, for our listeners, here are a couple of questions to think about. When you feel stressed, what is one small thing you can do to create a pause? And how does your body feel when you are calm versus when you are stressed? Noticing the difference is the first step.
That's a great point about noticing. Another practical technique is to use your senses to ground yourself. It's sometimes called the 5-4-3-2-1 method. It pulls your attention away from the stress and back to the present moment.
The 5-4-3-2-1 method? I like the sound of that. How does it work?
It's very simple. Wherever you are, you pause and silently name 5 things you can see. It could be a pen on your desk, a cloud in the sky, a crack in the wall, anything. Then you notice 4 things you can physically feel. Maybe your feet on the floor, the texture of your shirt, the cool air on your skin. You know, this reminds me of when I was younger. I used to think I had to have an answer for everything immediately. I thought it made me look smart.
A lot of people feel that pressure.
Yes, but often my quick answers were not my best answers. It took me a long time to learn that it's okay to say, let me think about that for a moment. It's a sign of wisdom, not weakness.
That's a big part of growing, I think. Realizing that strength isn't about being the loudest or the fastest. It's about being thoughtful. It's about being in control of yourself. This kind of inner peace, this serenity, it doesn't just happen overnight.
Not at all. It's a practice, like learning English. You don't study for one day and become fluent. You show up every day, you practice a little. You're patient with yourself. You build your skill and your calmness piece by piece.
And you learn that progress is not a straight line. Some days you will feel very calm. Other days you will react and feel bad about it. And that's okay. The important thing is to gently come back to your practice.
Come back with kindness, always with kindness.
Okay, so now it's time for our vocabulary word tour. We used some wonderful words in our conversation today. We're going to look at them a little closer.
Yes, for each word, we will give you a simple definition and some examples. Please listen and then repeat the word out loud. It's great practice for your pronunciation. Are you ready?
Okay, our first word is composed. C-O-M-P-O-S-E-D. Composed means calm and in control of your feelings. For example, even with all the noise, she remained composed. Or, he gave a very composed answer to the difficult question.
Now you try. Repeat the word composed. Next word, pressure. P-R-E-S-S-U-R-E. Pressure is the feeling of stress because a situation is difficult. For example, she works well under pressure. Or, I felt a lot of pressure to pass the exam.
Repeat after me. Pressure. Next, respond. R-E-S-P-O-N-D. To respond means to give a thoughtful answer. For example, she took a moment to think before she responded.
Your turn. Respond. And now, react. R-E-A-C-T. To react is to give a quick automatic answer, often with emotion. For example, he reacted angrily to the news.
Let's hear you say it. React. Our next word is grounded. G-R-O-U-N-D-E-D. Being grounded means being stable and sensible. For example, he is a very grounded person even when things are difficult.
Please repeat grounded. Next up, overwhelmed. O-V-E-R-W-H-E-L-M-E-D. To feel overwhelmed is to feel that something is too difficult to handle. For example, I was overwhelmed by all the new vocabulary.
Your turn. Overwhelmed. Now for perspective. P-E-R-S-P-E-C-T-I-V-E. Perspective is a way of seeing a situation. For example, talking to her gave me a new perspective on the problem.
Say it with me. Perspective. And our last word, serenity. S-E-R-E-N-I-T-Y. Serenity is the state of being calm and peaceful. For example, the garden was a place of perfect serenity.
One last time. Repeat. Serenity.
You know, all this talk of serenity reminds me of something that happened last weekend. It's a bit embarrassing, but I think it's a perfect example of what not to do.
Oh, do tell. I'm sure our listeners would love a real-life story.
All right, well, I bought a new bookshelf. I was so excited. I had this perfect image in my mind of all my books organized, my room looking beautiful and tidy. The box arrived, and I thought, how hard can this be?
Oh, the famous last words. How hard can this be? I think I've said that before every difficult project I've ever started.
Exactly. So I opened the box, and it was like a puzzle with 100 tiny pieces and instructions written in a language from another planet. There were pictures, but they made no sense. I spent an hour just trying to figure out which piece was A and which was B.
I know that feeling. The drawings look simple, but in reality, nothing looks like the drawing. It's a special kind of frustration.
It really is. And my patience started to wear thin. You know, wearing thin is a great idiom. It means your patience is disappearing. So my patience was wearing very, very thin. I tried to force a piece into place and it wouldn't fit. I pushed harder, still no. And that's when I lost my composure completely.
Uh-oh. What happened? Did you argue with the bookshelf?
I did a little more than that. I might have said some unkind words to the inanimate object. Then I stood up and in a moment of pure frustration, I kicked the side of the bookshelf. It was a terrible reaction. It didn't solve the problem and I hurt my toe.
Ouch. The classic, I'm angry, so I'll do something that only makes the situation worse. We've all been there. So you reacted, you didn't respond.
I reacted in the biggest way. My heart was racing, my face was hot. I was the opposite of calm. And in that state, could I solve the problem? Of course not. My mind was completely clouded by anger. A clouded mind can't see solutions.
So what did you do then, after you and the bookshelf had your disagreement?
Well, after I finished hopping around on one foot, I realized how silly I was being. I was a grown woman angry at a box of wood. So I did what we talked about earlier. I stopped, I walked into the other room, made a cup of tea, and just breathed for 5 minutes. I didn't think about the bookshelf at all.
You created a pause. You stepped away from the problem to get some perspective.
I did. And when I came back, I was grounded. I looked at the instructions again, and suddenly I noticed a tiny detail I had missed before. My mind was clear, and I could see the solution. I had been trying to put the shelf on backwards. I calmly took it apart and put it together the right way. And you know what? It took me only 10 minutes after that.
That is a perfect story, Eden. Thank you for sharing it. It shows that calmness isn't just a nice idea, it's a practical tool. Your frustrated mind couldn't see the answer, but your calm mind could see it easily. That's a huge lesson.
It is, and it applies directly to learning English. When you're trying to understand a difficult grammar point, or you can't find the right word in a conversation, it's easy to get frustrated, just like I did with the bookshelf. You feel that pressure, that hot feeling of panic.
And if you keep pushing and forcing it, your mind just gets more and more clouded. But if you can take that mental step back, take one deep breath and say, "It's okay," you give your brain the space it needs to find the answer.
Exactly. The answer is often there waiting for us. We just need to be calm enough to see it. So, for our listeners, the next time you feel that learning frustration, remember my bookshelf. Don't kick it, just breathe. Great job. Those are all fantastic words to add to your English vocabulary.
We've come to the end of our time together today. The main message we want you to remember is this: calmness is a strength. It's a superpower that helps you think clearly, communicate better, and learn more effectively.
And just like learning English, finding your calm is a practice. Be patient with yourself. Take a deep breath when you feel overwhelmed. You have the power to choose how you respond to the world.
We would love to hear your thoughts. What helps you stay calm? You can leave a comment on our website. Thank you again for sharing this time with us in Mr. English Classroom.
It was a pleasure to be with you. Until next time.
Learn with a calm heart. Goodbye for now.